Hi everyone, my name's Alex. I currently have just started work as a doctor in the NHS, but back in March I was flying out to Bangladesh, to Lam Hospital, to spend 6 weeks there for my elective following my medical degree finals. I was hoping to come and share with you in person today, but unfortunately I've got quite a heavy cold, so I'm recording this instead. So for those of you who haven't visited before, Lam Hospital sits in a rural area of northwest Bangladesh, and actually there's a market that surrounds the hospital gate, and this is known as Mission Bazaar. The surrounding area is really beautiful. You can see there are sweeping rice fields and also a network of mud hut villages. During my elective, I spent most of my time in the neonatal and paediatric departments at the roughly 150 to 200 bed hospital. I also spent some time with the medical surgical team, obs and gynae, and the rehabilitation centre, and also with the chaplaincy team. I'd like to share with you about one little patient who I met near the beginning of my trip. We're going to call him Asher. Asher was a little boy born at 28 weeks old, who I first met whilst we were doing ward round in the postnatal ward. He was struggling to breathe. The skin in between and underneath his ribs was very severely dipping in with every breath. Unlike most babies at Lam who sit on their mother's chest for warmth, which is known as kangaroo care, this baby was lying in a heated wooden box with a temperature dial and a perspex screen, an incubator. He was on CPAP, which is a form of supportive oxygen that helps to inflate the lungs. I remember the stricken face of the mother crying and the doctor saying, "There is not a lot more we can do." That conversation needed no translation. That night, I went home and I desperately prayed for this baby and its fragile life. Each day when we went into the neonatal unit, we would slide off our sandals and put on a pair of flip-flops as a form of infection control. The next day, it was therefore with some apprehension that I entered the neonatal unit and looked around to see if baby Asher was still alive. And he was. I thanked God for him and I kept praying for him. Each day, I would glance over to check how he was. And before long, he was a wriggling baby lying on his young mother's chest, wrapped in a square of colourful shari fabric. Amongst the hardships and the struggles, this was a sign of hope for me, and I was so encouraged. Whilst in the hospital, there were many similarities and some quite stark differences in the way that care was delivered compared to what I'd seen in hospitals in London. Initially, I found the lack of continuous monitoring, like a heart trace or blood pressure, surprising. I also saw how doctors had to make decisions with comparatively few investigations and be resilient to environmental challenges, for example, power cuts. It was amazing though to see how resources were maximised and waste was minimised. I think we have a lot to learn from this. Here you can see even each plastic glove is being valued, and it's been dried, ready to be used again after having been cleaned. Getting to know colleagues was also another massive highlight of the trip. On the way into work, I got to know some of the colleagues who were employed by the rehabilitation centre, and they would help to do gardening and care for the goats who were on site. We would try to have a conversation, in my side in some very broken Bangla, asking "Kimono Chen, how are you?" and nodding away and smiling. The Lam Hospital site is such a beautiful place, so carefully tended for, teeming with bright colourful flowers, fruit trees and birdsong, thanks to the hard work of these individuals. I have never visited such an appropriate hospital site before. Visiting the rehabilitation centre was also a chance to connect with families, and I was so touched by the kindness of these people. In one instance, a lady insistently offered me her lunch. It was all she had to eat. I felt warmly welcomed into local culture for which I particularly credit my paediatric team, some of whom are pictured here, and also my other colleagues, as well as missionaries and local people, who all made a huge effort to be kind, welcoming, and share their experience of culture. I got fed lots of different nasta, which is snacks, from shingra, like a savoury egg, peanut, potato pastry, to ammaka, a spicy unripe grated mango dish. On one rainy day, we also all shared khichdi, which is like a dal rice mixture. There was a real sense of community. I was also kindly taught some basic symptoms and medical phrases in Bangla, which helped me gradually follow the gist of the consultations. The team explained some conditions that I was less familiar with, for example, severe acute malnutrition. This was tracked by a pink sheet that was placed in each child's folder. I think most children in the outpatients had a pink sheet present. There was also typhoid fever and some rarer congenital conditions that I learnt about. I loved taking Bangla lessons and enjoyed living in the area and exploring with other short-termers. From a faith perspective, we were all really encouraged when we held a worship evening and were able to sing praise in different languages. We also were able to share at a women's Bible study in one of the village churches. We chose to talk about the story of the woman healed from bleeding and Jesus' statement, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." Amongst the joyful, happy and exciting times, though, was the ongoing reminders of the harsh realities of poverty. I saw the chaplain come alongside and support a mother as her child was dying. In one case, the aunt of a feverish, drowsy 10-year-old boy who had lost both of his parents refused to admit him, perhaps because of financial concerns, or that she was not able to stay with him into hospital. Ultimately, visiting Lamb was a life-changing, challenging, and beautiful experience. I'd like to say a massive thank you to Dr. Onche for facilitating this trip, and also to all the amazing colleagues, short-termers, and local people who so warmly opened their homes and their hearts to us. I'd also like to thank the Medical Missionary Network, who provided a contribution towards the trip. The people of Bangladesh and the country now hold a special place in my heart, and I will continue to pray for them. Jesus looked at them intently and said, "Humanly speaking, it is impossible, but with God, everything is possible." Thank you very much. For those of you who have not yet visited Lamb in Bangladesh, I really urge you to go. I think it's a joyful, happy and really exciting experience to have. Thank you so much.